Greetings, family. Greetings. I greet you in honorable spirit of all those great and mighty ancestors who have paved the way for me to be here today and for our people to be alive today. I give thanks for their sacrifice. I give thanks for their endurance. And I give thanks for them to survive so I can survive. And it is my duty to stand on their shoulder and to take it further. Now, I want to welcome you to episode 22 of Clear Thinking with Brother Dulani. Now, this is a podcast where we analyze our situation. I give some social commentary, I give some political commentary, and some cultural commentary on the condition facing our people. Now, I've been scanning the social media surface and looking at various platforms and seeing what kind of discussion are taking place. And I noticed one of the reoccurring theme that I see surfacing on the social media front is the idea of who we are. What are we? You know, who are we? And it's a reoccurring theme because some people now are thinking that they got some special knowledge and they're trying to claim to be who they're not. I've heard the phrase, my grandmother say we were Indians. My grandmother say we were from Syria. My grandmother said this. My grandparents said that. They use these colloquial, oral stories to claim to be people that they're not. Then you can see a brother, then when you're looking at your brother, you see all the phenotypes, all the characteristics of an African. And he would deny it flat out that he have any connection to Africa. That is a problem. That's a problem. And that have to do with the psychological trauma of our enslavement have us in a situation where we are ashamed of who we are. We don't want to be identified with the people that we are, who we are. It's sad. It's sad. It is sad to see, but to be honest with you, it is what is expected from a people who have been damaged, a people who have been brutalized as we have been brutalized. And we have been visited with all manner of psychological trauma. And there was a program of erasing our history, erasing our memory, erasing our languages. So now we're in a state of confusion. And mostly what we have done to fill this void is that we have brought in religion. Religion has been the way how we have filled the gap. So because we don't know who we are, what nation in Africa we come from, what region, we fill the void and said, well, I'm a Hebrew, I'm from the people in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? I am coming from Isaac and Jacob, and I'm a 12 tribes. Forget about the 3,000 different peoples in Africa. None of them are in the Bible. But we must now claim, I say none of them except for Egypt. And that is a very vague concept because Egypt is an amalgamation. The founding of that civilization was African, and that was Kemetic civilization. But the Western, Central, and Southern Africa, none of us are represented in the so-called biblical stories. However, that's where we find solace. That's where we find comfort and a sense of satisfaction is in these literature has replaced our real history. History that has been dug up by many of our great historians. People like Chancellor Williams, people like John Henry Clark, people like Dr. Ben, who have done great works in digging up our history and giving it to us for us to teach to our people. But the religious people have taken the reign of our education. They are the ones who run in our education system. Most of the teachers in our education system are religious people, and they go to church on Sunday. They're learning the Bible stories. They also believe that's where we're coming from. If it wasn't for law, they would be teaching Adam and Eve and Noah and Moses in the school. But sensible people have been able to prevent that from happening. And in some schools, it still is happening at the lower level in some communities. They teach them about Adam and Eve and Noah and all that fantastic stuff. And our people now is beginning, well, I've long now think that we are these people in the Bible. And it's distorted our sense of who we are. They have distorted our history. And we go to extraordinary length to try to claim a link to these people. To where now we got Africans claiming, when I say African, I mean Africans from all over the world. Whether you're from the Caribbean, Central and South America, North America, Europe, or you was born on the continent, we are all Africans. Okay? We got Africans all over the place claiming to be from Sumer, to be from Babylon, to be from Asia, because they read it in the Bible, because somebody interpreted the Bible for them and told them that we are descendants of Jacob. We are the descendants of Abraham and Moses and all this fantastic story. But we don't go into the civilization of West Africa. We don't go into the Ashanti. We don't go into the Ga culture. We don't go into the Ndebele people. We don't go into the Hosa, the Zulus. We don't go into, the people of the Congo. The people of Dahomey, the people of Benin, the people of Togo. We don't go into these areas and connect ourselves to these people who have been in that region for thousands of years. We want to skip over West Africa and want to go into the East, Asia, to claim our roots. And the fact is, all those people from Asia claim their roots in Africa. But we are denying our roots in Africa to claim our roots in Asia, who have their roots in Africa. And that is this state of affair that we find ourselves in. And as I look at these things, and I come with this program called Clear Thinking, I'm saying, how can I add to this conversation? What value can I add to this conversation? And I'm saying that the only way we can really determine what is accurate and what is not, we need some type of standard. And I'm saying that we have to use science. We have to use archaeology. We have to use genetic, which is DNA analysis, to try to put together, piece the puzzle of our past back together, so we can have a accurate view of where we're coming from, what the journey of our DNA have been, and that will help us. But we also got material culture. We have our language. We got linguistic link to West Africa. We got cultural link to West Africa. There's material cultural links to West Africa that we need to definitely consider in determining who we are, and not just go by biblical stories, And I'm not here to try to take on religious people or take on religion, because that's not my fight. But I'm here to defend African people and our interests and what we should be teaching our children in school. Well, I'm glad we don't teach them religion as a fact in our history classes, in our history and in the subject of history. Religion is not taught in our schools, and for good reason, because it's not true. It's not an accurate view of our history, and it doesn't add up to reality. So most of the conversation we have now is people who have been indoctrinated by religion, who are now telling you greatly that, we are from Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. But here's the part that clear thinking come to bring to this picture. There is this equivalence. So what they will do, this is the setup. I'm going to tell you what the setup is. You're discussing these facts in the Bible, and you're saying, that doesn't add up. How can we be descendants from Abraham when we were in West Africa when Abraham was supposed to be in Sumer? How can we be from them when we were already in West Africa? How can we be descended from Hebrew Israelites when Hebrews, so-called, if you go by the story and narrative, they were in the Levant, in Mesopotamia, in Egypt, while we were still in West Africa? Why? How do you make that make sense? So the moment you start now undermining the argument and saying that doesn't add up to reality, they start to question now your belief in God. They say, "Oh, that means you don't believe in God then, if you're going to say that. If you say we was in West Africa and the Bible and a full story and these stories of the Bible are real and Moses never exists and no part in the Red Sea, that means you question the existence of God itself." You see the equivalence there. When you begin to challenge the accuracy of the biblical narrative or the Quranic narrative, they look at it as challenging the existence of God. So they want to have two conversations in one. We can have that conversation about the existence of God, which is an independent conversation from whether the accuracy of the Bible, whether the narrative of the Bible is accurate. So you become so vested in it that they think that if you don't believe in the Bible, you don't believe in God. And that is a fundamental fallacy. That is flawed. Because the Bible could be completely wrong and you can still have a debate about the existence of God. But the Christians and the Muslims and many other religious beliefs are arrogant enough and they're audacious enough to think and to bring forward this idea that if you don't accept their doctrine, that means that you don't believe in God. This is the insult. That means all indigenous people who have their own concept of God, their own idea of their own spiritual practices, they are totally non-believers because they don't believe in the God of their Bible and the God of their scripture and the God of the books of those who are the foreigners. And that's where we find ourselves in. The moment you begin to push back, the moment you begin to ask questions about the validity of historical events, the moment you begin to ask, who is Solomon? Where is Solomon's kingdom? Where is David's kingdom? Where's all these things that they wrote about? There's about 3,000 characters in the Bible, and then when you go into reality, into history, you can't find them. Where are the descendants today? You can't find them. And they tell their donkey talk and bush talk and, fire, all this stuff they'll tell you. Fantastic stuff. They can't repeat none of it. They can't demonstrate none of it. They can't verify none of it. The moment you get them into that conversation, they start to switch to, oh, you don't believe in God. And then they go another step further. Excuse me. They go another step further. Then how do we have morality? How do we know what's right or wrong if you don't believe in God, if you don't have the Bible? Another flawed, another fallacy. Morality, good behavior, and moral character have nothing to do with the Bible. No one needs a Bible or a book to be moral. But they want to give you the impression that it is because of the Bible, it's because they're God while we have morality. Every nation of people have their own sense of morality. Morality is determined by society. Ethics, rules, laws, social conduct, social norms are determined by each society. And we have some collective agreement, a consensus on what we accept as what is acceptable, what is unacceptable, what is moral and what is immoral. No Bible dictate that. You can get morality from doctrines and books and scriptures, but it does not necessarily mean that it has to come from that. And no culture have a monopoly on morality. No people, no book, no religion have a monopoly on morality. So when you question these people about, their Bible and their books and their religious doctrine, they started telling, then then man, go just kill one another, it's going to be evil everywhere. As if, our morality was determined by the Bible in the first place. And that was just not true. And these are the games that they play, the mind games that they would try to play. But if you know that it is society that make the laws, it's society that creates policies that governs our conduct, you know that you don't need a Bible for that. All those cultures that existed for thousands of years before the Europeans and the Arab came with their book, before they came with the Quran, before they came with the Bible, they had morality, they had ethics, they had social norms that they were living by before they came into contact with these people, before the printing press was invented. And that's the kind of discussion that they don't think that we can have. They want to isolate us into trying to prove each scripture. Did Jesus did this? Did Mark did who said that? And give me chapter 2 and verse 1. And once you go down that road, you're gone. Them get you. You can't go down that road. But none of that should negate you from studying who you are as an African person. Okay? We have DNA that can assist us. There's many different companies out there now going all over Africa and getting samples of DNA, and then you can compare your DNA with what's available around the world and see where you fit in. That means if you come and you say, well, me no African, me Aboriginal, me Indian, me been from the Mississippi from creation. I will say, all right, prove it. Take a DNA test then. We take a DNA test, you're 90% West African, Sub-Saharan African. 0% of connection to the people of the original people of Mississippi. Then what do you say then? Then you realize, it's all a mind game they're playing. We cannot allow ourselves to fall into these mind games that they're playing on us. We got to be real about who we are. We got to teach our children the right way. We're African people. We need to love ourselves. We need to appreciate our history. We have done great things across Africa that we can be proud of. And we can learn from our mistakes because we have made mistakes along the way. But one thing we're going to be clear about what we're going forward. We have been a damaged people and we need to be repaired. We're going to keep fighting for reparation for all those people who have been involved in the enslavement and the colonization of African people. We must hold them accountable. The wealth that has been created in this world has been created off the back of indigenous people, of African people, and we're aiming to get this wealth to be redistributed to create a planet, a repaired planet, because this planet has been damaged by these same forces, these same people who have been responsible for the enslavement of our people, have been responsible for the colonization of our people, for the destruction of the environment, are the same people right now who holds the majority of the wealth. The same system is in place that gives these people entitlement to the vast majority of the wealth that's been created by mankind. And I am advocating for Pan-African reparations for planet repair. And that's how we're going to get it. We have to keep our eyes on the wealth and the power and the technology that exists and demand that our people get access to this wealth, and this wealth is used to repair the damage done to mankind as we move forward. So I want to thank you, my people, for listening to Clear Thinking with Brother Dulani. This has been episode 22, and I look forward to coming with more episodes. So please like and subscribe and share this program, and I will continue to give a clear thinking about our people, our history, our economic and our social condition. I want to finalize this by saying I want to thank all those people in Jamaica, that's where I was born, who are doing this great work of helping our people, of helping the homeless, and helping to alleviate some of the poverty on the ground. I'd like to big up Nick from St. Elizabeth, with Jamaica Life Nice. I want to big them up for the work that they're doing down there. I want to big up Colors Smith TV out of Portland for what he's doing with our people in this community where he come from, and also in Kingston. I want to big up J Bud for what he's doing with the less fortunate and the homeless people in Portland. I want to big up Keno Life in Jamaica in Trenchtown for the great works he's doing to help our people alleviate some of the condition of poverty that exists in Trenchtown and other places in Jamaica. I want to thank those people. I want to encourage them to keep doing this great work. Keep doing the work. You're doing ancestral work. Trust me. We can't allow our people to be abandoned. And I would have hoped that the neo-colonial governments, the neo-colonial leadership that exists in many of our African and Caribbean countries and even our Latin American countries would be bold enough to demand that we have a safety net in place to make sure that no one go hungry in our society, that make sure that no one go homeless in our society, that is of a clear political agenda to end poverty and to devote resources and leadership to the elimination of these conditions that we're faced with. I would have hoped in that to be the case. And I'm encouraging you people, whenever these elections are coming up in your community, use it as an opportunity to demand that they commit resources to the elimination of these extreme poverty that exists in our community. It's intolerable, it's a disgrace, and we should never tolerate it because there's too much wealth available for this to be possible. If we was in a situation where there was a lack of resources, a lack of technology, a lack of money, a lack of these things, we can say, oh, we don't have it. But it is there. It's about the priority. It's who's going to benefit from the existing economic system. We have to demand that this wealth is being used for the development of our people. That's what we got to do, because all these political offices that are run on the electoral system, they depend on the vote and the support of the masses. And they're using their propaganda to maintain the status quo. And the status quo will only preserve the inequality and the injustice and the exploitation that exists inherently within the capitalist imperialist system and the neo-colonial system that are in place right now in Jamaica, in parts of the Caribbean, in parts of Africa, in Central and South America. We don't have to speak about Europe and America. We know that the situation is there, solid. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to say thank you so much for listening to this broadcast. Keep supporting it, and I will be bringing up more content. And thank you so much, my people. Mahat Ubuntu, Ashe, Hotep, Jambo. Respect to our people them in Kenya. Stand up, fight for your rights. You know, see it. Our people in West Africa, stand up for your rights. The people them in the Sahel, more power to you. African sovereignty, self-determination, definitely more power to you. Respect my people. Until next time, this has been Clear Thinking with Brother Dulani. Hotep.